What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 15 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Tiktaq'to Immortal Empires Expanded campaign. So as we saw last time, we have confederated to Henowin at last, so we will soon be getting the Red Crest army and Ark of Sotek, I guess just generally Sotek army, up and running, and I imagine we'll have a good time with it. Probably sort of breaking its teeth on the deserters of Kotep, and then moving northward to deal with Rakarth and the Blooded Wanderers, perhaps together with Gorok. That said, Gorok has been hunting islands now, and just generally speaking, we've been hunting Skull Islands, and there's a few more that we gotta pick up to use to sort of get our economy flowing. But in the meantime, what do we have to do this turn? We don't have any money left. Henowin's recruiting, and I'm actually not sure that there's anything else we have to do this turn. Why didn't I end the turn last time? Alright, I am not sure, but I guess we can end the turn now, and if I forgot something or screwed something up, I guess, well, I'll just suffer for it. Let's see. Alright, northern provinces, actually there are some Cathan units that might work with ours. I kind of don't like the idea of human units with Lizardmen armies, but any kind of beast units would be possible. Balthazar Gelt, you want a non-aggression pact. I mean, we have a trade agreement with you, I guess we could do that. You're kind of not super friendly with these guys, but it doesn't matter. Alright, we'll do that, at least for now, and if later on we should need to fight you for some reason, then I guess we'll fight you. Though admittedly, he's quite far from what we've been currently doing. And we've got new areas of the map that we want to see, so it's not like he's it's not like he's a big priority, let's say. Alright, what do we have here? And... the Conquista... Oh, so these guys, the Exotic Goods Hauler, are part of the sort of main army thing. Alright, so I guess this is just a continuing quest. Alright, the Conquistador has returned. We fought his first army last time, now with an even larger army. He drives them across the border in silence. Shuffling after come Lizardmen prisoners. We recognize them as the garrison from our hidden border post. Most are merely scribes and artisans, and their scales bleed where the piercings and other ornaments have been pried from them. We must defeat this trespasser and rescue our brethren. Attack him again, and similarly, we're definitely fighting this because who knows when the final battle is going to be. Let's not take damage, and let's punish them for daring to imprison other lizards. Go. Alright, here we go. Exotic Goods Hauler back for another round with some dangerous units like the War Wagons in tow, which with their first volley take about 30% of the HP off of our Saurus Scar Veteran. And gotta love those War Wagons in SFO. Other than the War Wagons, however, unfortunately the enemy's probably gonna have a bad time. We got the Breath moving through them and the Uranon's Thunderbolt coming down from the Uranon's Serpent Coatl. And it looks like the enemy has been engaged. This means the range units aren't firing, or at the very least the crossbows aren't firing, and we've applied a lot of our resources to make sure that we destroy those war wagons as soon as we possibly could. The Kulkan Riders with their anti-large and anti-infantry, but just their bonuses, and do plenty of damage to them. And while the crossbows are in decent numbers in this army, with none of them firing, that's a good portion of the enemy's strength pretty much out. Once again, and as usual, it is an ambush battle, and therefore vastly in our favor. And also, it should be a pretty darn quick battle. The enemy lord, though, by virtue of moving into the sort of blobs of units, has been hidden from attack from our expedition chief. So, good for him. He's survived this long, I think, only because of that. Otherwise, we're chasing down the enemy knights using both our Kulkan Riders and our summoned Ripperdactyls, as well as the Skink Oracle. And now just allowing our Croxagores to obliterate what halberds and crossbows remain here. There we go, big old bonk through the enemy lines, many a manling and goes flying, or exploding into little bits as they do. And it looks like with that, the enemy is horrified at their losses, enough to shatter and give the battle to us. One last set of blow darts hit the enemy lord in the back, taking his arm and his life alike. And there we are. Is that the last battle of the exotic goods hauler or this little event expedition, or will there be another? We'll find out. Alright, there we go. Once again, very solid work from Tiktaqto. He just does good work with that hunger ability on his army. He was absolutely the right choice for this special set of battles. And he's got 4.4k in money from the fights. Earn on Serpent, once again, doing absolutely amazing, as it gets 404 kills and 35,000 damage, thanks to being a flying mortis engine. It's absolutely disgusting. And by the looks of it, the Croxagores did pretty well with the Jaws of Victory, just slightly trailing the regular unnamed Croxagores. I'm gonna have to give you a name as well. Not now, because we're busy, but yeah. Anyway, let's go for release captives. Lovely, and sequence of the global plan completed. Victory! The Conquistador has escaped again, but at least the garrison is safe. We escort them back to the outpost before continuing with the expedition. Alright, I guess we'll have to fight him again. For now, we'll go Secrets of Spawning, and our first Old Ones favor generation. We're gonna need a lot of this stuff. Alright, but at least our techs are starting to look pretty good. Tic-tac, my little friend. Ooh, these guys are looking like they want to go after Chandrahara. We do not want them to go after Chandrahara. I think this guy's attempting to run away. Yeah, he can't take this stuff and... Oh. It looks like this little dwarfen faction is looking to claim this place, but you know what? You know what? I'll let them have it for now. I'd rather have this place because it's part of this territory, so it's more important. Plus, there's a Skull Island right there, so, you know. We've been looking for those. And I guess we'll have to figure out whether we want to attack the dwarfs out here or do other things. Okay, wait. Oh, I don't know why I didn't auto-resolve that. It basically has no defenders. Or at the very least, it's a very weakly defended place. Occupy. Lovely, and that's the place's capital, wherein we're gonna upgrade Varendapur first because we need the stone, the marble. Yeah. Alright, start with the Old One Monument and keep that chaos corruption lowering. Great Plan Activist on Lord Croak, sure. That was Archivist, but sure. And oh, wow. These guys have certainly come down south. The Golden Order, good for them. Oh, and they're sharing a territory with these elves. Yeah, I might wipe these elves out once again, just by virtue of the fact that they hold a territory here, and I don't like that. Maybe if they're willing to peace out with only these two territories remaining, then we'll see. But if not, then, you know, it's the elves' problem. And maybe we could, well, I guess it depends on how far south these guys have gone. We could possibly trade some territory for them. There's a lot of yellow territory down here, so I figure we should take this and the Dragon Isles, obviously, and then this. But then we can go on here. There's more jungle and stuff down here, I'd wager. At least I assume so. And then there's probably Savannah and stuff here. Well, I want to see it all either way, so we got stuff to do. Anyway, Izozyme, back to you. You... Okay, actually, now it's time to do some stuff with you. So first of all... Tehenowen, you are going to lose the Salamander hunting packs. You do not need skink skirmishers or chameleon skinks. I don't think you need the Saurus Scarvet. We do need a Saurus Scarvet for... the Fire Slan, but it needs to be a Stargift Saurus, which we don't have as yet. I mean, we could turn these skink skirmishers into flyers in theory, but, you know what, yeah, take these for now. Then, Tehenowen, I would like you to get 3 more red crests. Are you not able to build them here? What the heck? Oh, I deleted... No, huh. Okay, well, how much do they cost from global recruitment? 2,000 gold. Ugh, okay, I'm not doing that. Alright, build the Red Crest building here. We've got other stuff, and it's only 1 turn to build it, so I think we can do that pretty quick. You have to get another Arc of Sotek in the meantime, and I'm gonna say one more Kroxagore unit, which you also can't build here. Good lord, okay, fine. Annoying, but, you know, it is what it is. Now, you have your 2 Skink Chiefs, but one is an Assassin, and then one of them is Primal Strength. I want both of them to be Primal Strength here. So you are an Assassin, and then you are Accurate. And then, are you Primal Strength? Yes, you're Primal Strength. Okay, so you're going to join Tehanawan, so come down and join him. That means we can send this guy, who is an Assassin, to join up with Ezozyme. So you're going to go here. Accurate, I'm not yet sure what to do with, and then the other Assassin, I'm also kind of not sure what to do with yet. And we shall see. You are going to go out here. Okay, just go out here. This is all important, trust. Alright, then Ezozyme and Digga, I would like you to trade some, to swap some stuff around. You are going to lose all of your cavalry, the Saurus, and the cohort of Sotek, which is obviously going to Tehanawan. Like so. You will take the... okay, take the Skink cohorts, which will put you up to 17, eh? I mean, I guess we could give you the Piriaras. It doesn't really matter, but maybe take the Skink Skirmishers for now. And then you have 19 out of 20 like that. These Skink Skirmishers we can just evolve into units of Flyers. Or we can even do it with these guys. What level do they... Oh, we can do it immediately. Alright, that's perfect. We'll evolve you guys into Pterodon Riders with Javelins. And the reason I want to do this is eventually Ezozyme will get some Manticuda Riders, but, you know, now is not that time. Then, okay, wait, Mazda Conqua, I would like you to trade these two for these two. Like so. Then, from here, I would like you to take all of these Flyers, and... I mean, I need, you know what, spare troops, you and you. And I think that's it. Now, Mazda Conqua, you are going to deliver the Salamander Hunting Packs and the Pterodon Riders, and these two will become Fire Leech Bolas as well to the Fire Army, because, you know, they're high level, originally trained by Tiktaq'to, and so that we need to give them. These guys, to them I mean, Digga, you're the Assassin, right? And just to double check, you are also an Assassin, okay. Just have to make sure. So Digga, you can go pretty far, so Ezozyme, you're gonna start moving this way. You're gonna join up. And then, yeah, we will replace you two with Manticuda Riders, and then some of these with some aquatic beasties, which we can get from the, from eggs. These guys, I think? Yeah, these guys. Aquatic, Scaly Skin, and then Leviathan. Some nice tier 4s for this particular army, and that'll be the concept. And then if there's other aquatic stuff that we want to do, we'll do it. You, Digga, will move to transfer these troops to Tehanawan. And then I believe Washti will also be transferring some troops to him. So Washti, go down to Chupayodal. And then land there. We'll transfer the Chameleon Stalkers to him. Well, I'm actually not 100% sure about that, but we shall see. Alrighty, there we go. A little bit of admin there, but it has to be done because we got new armies a-coming. Gorok, you've got a date with another Skull Island. I know you like those. Anyway, let's see what we've got here. I guess it's time to finally start moving through Rally. Yes, we could make Gorok stronger, but in sort of personal strength, he's already so strong that that doesn't matter. Also, what are Cherupins buffed by? Is it Swift Rider? I want to see where... Wait. Yeah, some missile strength there. Do I see Cherupin Riders here? No. Is it in Hunt Leader? No. It is in Beast Driver? Yes, it's in Beast Driver. Cherupin Gunner Team. That's perfect because we have Basties with Reeve of Crystal which share their traits. Alright. Skink Priest the Beasts. You are definitely going to get Curse of Anra here now. And then Skink Chief is going to get... I do like the anti-attrition stuff, which is fine. Oh, there's We Are the Elite, which is Vigor Loss Reduction, which isn't too bad either. Spell Resistance, Missile Resistance. Well, the Campaign Line of Sight if nothing else is valuable. Alright, let's do that. At least for now. Other things will be more valuable once you have, you know, a dino to ride. Slaneshi Giggle. Raid the cove. And what do we have here? A bunch more depth guard, this time with a decent amount of artillery as well, which is of some concern, especially to the turtles. Go. Alrighty, here we go. Ooh, I like this map. It's very nice and visible. We got some Bretonian structures in the background by the looks of it, as well as, well, of course, the enemies. And we'll see about how they function in this particular battle shortly. Now, the plan here is to try to draw a decent amount of them into the center. Admittedly, they will be able to use their aquatic benefits there, but nonetheless, we should be able to pin them in place. With the Legion of Tlaqua and the Blessed Source Spears acting as the distraction because they are more defensive and more resistant to enemy, and of course we have the healing or double healing on the spears. Plus, the Shield of Tlaqua bumps everybody's missile resistance up pretty heftily, and I doubt these guys will die easy. The other reason that we would do this is that the Blessed Source Warriors with maces have that Tlaqua stock, or wait, Huan Chi rather stock, and thus the enemy didn't know that they were on the approach. So now we got the 4 units moving in on the flanks. The enemy's back line is of course suffering the administrations of the Riperdactyls and the units of Archaeopteryx. Now, we saw in a previous battle that the Riperdactyls can fight pretty well against a single big boy like the Rotting Leviathan, so we'll pin it in place with the Riperdactyls and allow the Archaeopteryx to tear through all of those artillery crew. Beautiful. Otherwise, Gorok has closed with the enemy lord, who unfortunately is level 1 and is down to a mere 10% or so HP, and is unlikely to damage or escape from the Rock of Itza. Alright, a big old bonk with the Mace of Ulabak sees the enemy lord lose their head. Otherwise, we've got a bunch of individual engagements as the Depth Guard face off against the Blessed Source Warriors, Twin Axes versus those maces. But it should still be in our favor despite the lack of the healing on those guys, as we've pinned much more enemies in place here. The turtles will be blocking the enemy off, and the turtles with their reviv crystals should mean they're pretty insanely tanky. Probably still not as tanky as something like a Treekin unit would be, but once they have their rider variant, I'm sure they'll be more damage dealing than them, so that will be appropriate. But granted, that is an assumption on my part, but I'm hoping for it. If they're anything like the Rotting Leviathans, which they're supposed to be, by the looks of it, an equivalent of, the gunnery mob version will be doing plenty of hurt. Anyway, it looks like the enemy's backline has by and large collapsed, and with the death of the enemy lord and the army losses, a decent amount of the enemies are beginning to either rout or melt away. Their leadership is dropping, is what I'm getting at. Did that one source get knocked back by one of the turtles, or did it just leap forward into the center of the enemy formation? I suppose it doesn't matter much, because there will be no formation to be in the center of rather soon. Gorok moves to face off against the Rotting Leviathan as the last of the Depth Guard are brought down. Gorok, I'm sure, not afraid of the big beastie. Pretty cool showdown between the two of them, I gotta say. There we go. And, well, this thing's still got plenty of HP, but Gorok is by and large unharmed. His stats aren't anything crazy as yet, but obviously we haven't actually built him out to be a fighter, neither through his unique line nor his fighty tree, or the fighty skills of his tree. And he's already having no trouble pinning enemies or breaking lords. Alright, a couple more hits, and with that, the big boy falls, with the Gorok delivering, by the looks of it, the final blow. The Depth Guard are gone, and another big pile of cash is ours. Alrighty, there we go. Very, very nice. Only 33 units lost, and considering we're fairly far from our own... Well, actually not that far from our own shores, but far from Luster at least. It's good that we don't really need to replenish, especially since we want to take the additional 2.6k in addition to all the other k that we're getting from this. Lovely work out of the source as usual, and of course some damage due to fighting enemy depth guard, but that should hardly be of any surprise, especially those that were fought within the water, and which allowed them to take advantage of their aquatic trait, which, unlike the skinks, the Saurus, I believe, will not have. Well, I mean, no, I believe about it. I know they don't have it, but anyway. The besties, well, actually did decently well in terms of their damage, all things considered. And our Cherupins, oh wow, 2.5k, that's the most one of the turtles without gunners has dealt so far. Good for it. Alrighty, and we got ourselves another nice 20k. Ooh, Administrator, Campaign Movement Range. I like it a lot. And there we go. Don't really need the Wailing Banner, but that's just fine. And you're... 68, eh? Okay, you're well, actually somewhat damaged, but... Probably we can still heal up in the neutral waters. We'll grab the Mushroom Stew here. Mathlan's Blessing. Nice. So we just need to go to the edge of the neutral water where we will... Or the Great Ocean, rather, where we can still heal. But, either way, we're sailing down here, gonna grab this island before heading back to the reef at Lustre. Man, 1 materials at sea. I feel like we've gathered a lot of islands and have had really bad luck with materials at sea in this campaign. So far, anyway. Hopefully we'll get one. Alright, how are we doing here? We're still raiding, but we're still building up our forces, so... Alright, go for another skink cohort. And... I mean, I guess we could go for yet another one. Why not? Why not? If we get a full stack, we'll be able to fight them. We could delete them later. Yeah, it's costing us money, but it is what it is. Do we still need to block you, I guess is the question. I mean, you still can. You got 17 turns. This guy's gonna go this way for obvious reasons. Although, these guys taking all this territory is gonna make it a little bit more difficult to steal tech from them, but it's not like we're not okay anyway. Hemorrhagia. Tier 3, but the defenses are weak, and so the elves should probably be able to take it over. Good for them. And you... block him again. Why not? While we're here. There you go. I'm sure you're having fun with that either way. Next up, we've got the Tech Thief, the other Tech Thief, one of the other Tech Thieves. You're gonna land in Rikarth's territory and get ready to go after him. And... who else still needs to move this turn? That's you, Tech Thief. Who is Rohijar? Oh, right, that's you guys. Okay, I wish I remembered who's who out of you. Oh, whatever. We'll deal with it. Some of them will need to be split off to other armies anyway, so that's fine. And I believe that's all we gotta do now. At least, well, in this turn. Let's double check. Well, actually, since we have the Confederation up, we don't really care about the Diplo right now. Western Jungles. Okay, well, no, we're not investing anything there. Quixotl. You... well, alright, let's get the Geomantic Spire. River Curvezao. How are we doing here? Next turn, Itza will be upgraded. Beautiful. Let's also go for the Floating Gardens here, and we'll hold off on upgrading the garrisons. Kind of risky, I know, but I'm just going to continue to hold off on them. Shalansek, you will want to grab the Old One Monument. Abyssal Glacier. Although actually Shalansek is a pretty good place to have military structures since it's a 2-settlement location and is rather... I mean, Itza will be able to build stuff up, but it might not be the worst idea in the world. Wait. Did I cancel the... oh. I canceled this thing, didn't I? Well, I'm stupid. Yeah, just build that. We still need those red crests. And we need to transfer the... yeah, we'll need to transfer the cohort of Sotek. This is what I wanted to cancel. If we are to use some of these places, like we could do a Ripperdactyl hatchery here. Maybe that's the way to do it. Yeah, fine. I think it'll be fine. We already have the public order building here. Oh, although it'll actually... nah, it'll be fine, but I'm just going to ignore it for now. We'll deal with it later if needed. As needed. Skink Barrios, Tannery, Gold Smelter. Yeah, upgrade the Floating Gardens as well. Go for it. Like so, this place will be making a decent chunk of change before long. And might as well get flowing gardens here. Not worth it to upgrade the other thing, though. Altar facades we're ignoring because we're upgrading the main settlement here instead. Oishul. 7.2k for that spire, or the geomantic locus. I'm gonna say hold off now, but soon. Marks of the old ones. You... Maybe we'll go for the Temple of Quetli here, but again, I think it's a little bit expensive for what it offers, at least right now. We will build it, but it's not critical, and I'd rather, you know, use up the money making via other buildings. Let's also get rid of the insect breeding farm, at least for now. Replace it with a public order building. Here we'll need money, go figure. And we're starting to run out of cash, but not to worry, we got more Skull Islands on the way. Aranya's Glade, still ignoring. Never-ending Chasm. We could upgrade it to make it worth more to these guys. But again, not critical, so I'm going to hold off on it. This place is losing public order rapidly due to the chaos corruption. We're just going to have to deal with that. But soon we'll be able to do Gorok's Quest, which will counteract that. Alright, that looks like we're okay, at least for this turn. Let's skip, and... You know what, I haven't checked heroes. We'll check them next turn. Alright, let's see if this will be the last of the dilemmas and we can finish this up. Which would be nice. As in this particular expedition, and acquire that big old lizard. I assume that it just rewards it to us. And I assume you can only get one, since you have to go through a special event to get it. Who is Vera? What is this? Oh, deserters of Katep will attack the Citadel of Dusk. Well, we were that's a question. Is this going to screw up our reliability? I guess we're about to find out. Enter war inside of ally. Oh, these guys are immediately going to attack our territories. We weren't quite ready for this. We were so close to being ready for this, too. Okay, well, enter war inside of ally. And, yeah, they're going to attack Mangrove Coast. With a bunch of garbage skellies, granted. How leveled are they? 26 and 47. I fear that we won't win this, but we can probably cripple the army more or less. Oh, I hope they don't immediately attack Washti out there. I'm actually glad that they didn't go for him. Well, actually, he probably would have helped. But anyway, yeah, see, they attack those guys, but we're closer, so they're actually going to attack us, which is of great annoyance. Either way, go. Alrighty, here we go. We have no minor settlement walls or anything like that to hide behind, and this is probably gonna be pretty ugly. Possibly a last stand for this settlement, but like I said, we should be able to pretty much cripple this army, and regardless. Now, the big problem here is that a vast, well, maybe not a vast majority, but a big portion of our army's strength is skink skirmishers, who not only are terrible units, generally speaking, as in the non-blessed variants that cause bleed, and have stock, but they also have pretty low ammunition, so low damage, low ammo, and just relatively ineffective. If only they were all chameleon skinks instead. Anyway, we're going to start the battle off by trying to take out all the enemy skeleton archers, which are going to be a pretty big headache for us, and our fragile units, so that's the job of the Pterodon Riders. And now if these two were Fire Leech Bolas, we would have no problem obliterating the enemy army, because Fire Leech Bolas are devastatingly effective against skeleton warriors. Unfortunately, not so much, so they're just going to have to destroy the skeleton archers with bomb drops, or at least soften them up enough for the summoned Ariprodactyls to come down upon them and do as much damage as they possibly can. Alright, there we go. Otherwise, we have a few separate engagements happening on various sides of the map. Skeleton horses attempting to run down various skinks, whether they be javelineers or skirmishers or chameleon skinks. And then backing off as they, well, as in our units, backing off as they skirmish away. Ooh, There's a nice little volley into the flanks of that particular unit. Obviously, some of the enemies will be reaching us, and now that the pterodons have largely taken care of the enemy skeleton archers, we're going to focus down these skeleton horsemen. Admittedly, it would probably be a better idea to focus down the skeleton horse archers, which are still very much a threat and doing hefty damage to our pterodon riders, but at the same time, they're not running our units down like these guys are, so we're going to have to deal with the horses first. Alright, the Nehekaran horsemen and the skeleton, or the Nehekar warriors and the skeleton horsemen are having a pretty bad day here, getting hit from every side as well. Like so by those blow darts, which are slowly but surely wearing them down. Over in the center of the, for our center sort of melee formation, we have one skink cohort with shields and one unit of Croxagors working together. We've forced a decent amount of enemies to blob up here, and are using the, or were at least, started using the little impassable tiny bit of terrain to help us out. I'm going to drop a wind blast through the enemy ranks, skeleton warriors and such, and eventually, once our skink cohort is gone, we'll probably drop a Comet of Cassandora on the enemy as well. But the enemy has the same idea as I just did, as they go for the Tomb Swarm on us, which I'm sure will clear out that skink cohort in no time. Otherwise, the enemy has reached the third, and I'm jealous, the third rank or level of the Realm of Souls, summoning a unit of Ushabti on the field. 240 seconds, 20 seconds, whatever it is. They're on field. We'll try to dish out damage to them with our pterodon riders, but, you know, I don't know whether we have enough capability to do so. Anyway, it looks like indeed that Tomb Swarm has cleared out the skink cohorts, and by the looks of it, our unit of Croxagors is in bad shape as well and wavering, but we do get to manage to drop that Comet of Cassandora upon the enemy with our summoned skink priest. 13,000 damage on you. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Or was it on you? So 164 kills and 16,000 damage. The skink priest avatars are certainly doing decent work. And even if they're not dropping those spells, they're at least distracting some enemy units. Balance of power definitely remains in the enemy's favor, and unfortunately, we are starting to run low on ammo, which is going to be very dangerous going into the sort of later portions of this particular battle. Gonna just keep on trying to focus down each individual unit we can. They can't make use of the Realm of Souls if they're just completely destroyed after all, so just commit resources to obliterating individual units. Alright, it looks like this unit of skeleton spears is just about done. We will have to drop our Ripperdactyl riders upon the Ushabti so that they don't run anything down. They are rather fast moving after all. And at the same time, we need to get rid of those skeleton horses. Of course, our Ripperdactyls probably won't win against the Ushabtis, so as soon as these skeleton horses are gone, we're out of here too. The enemy lord is still very much alive, and the skink chief is attempting to lead him around. Unfortunately, unlike the expedition chief, the skink chief just does barely any damage, so is unlikely to be of any real threat to the Tomb King. Same probably can't be said of the pterodon riders, however, which will move in, attempting to dodge arrow fire from the skeleton horse archers, and help by dropping a few javelins on the Tomb King's head. Alright, our Croxagors are routed and then rallied, and the same thing goes for the skink cohort. They are still both very heavily damaged, and probably won't be able to fight off those Ushabti too well, and hello. A second Ushabti has been summoned. Great, now they got two more Ushabti. Oh well, that's unfortunate for us, but you know, only fair, I suppose. Only fair considering we summoned a unit of Ripperdactyls and two ethereal skink priests. And we still gotta work on what enemy units remain, but our skinks are now being forced into melee. Out of ammo, and just about out of ammo. Maybe one more volley. Looks like these skink skirmishers here were out of ammo as well, and just were sent into melee for the Nehekaran warriors to tear them to shreds. No choice, really, because without ammo, this is melee fighting is all they can do. It's just that they can't do it well. On the bright side, the enemy Tomb King is down to maybe 15% of his HP. Maybe we can actually bring him down if the Pterodon Riders and the... Oh no, the Pterodon Riders are nearly out of ammo as well. However, the enemy Lord is now beginning to melt away. And a couple more hits, by the looks of it, will in fact bring him down at last. With his fall, it looks like the enemy units of the Hikaran warriors are out of the picture as well, and are melting away. Of course, they're still cutting through our poor out-of-ammo skink skirmishers and chameleon skinks. But we're just going to mob them and allow them to melt, and then simply back off and away from the Ushabti. They're summoned units, and so they will eventually run out of time. No need to engage them and allow them to potentially fear our units off the battlefield. With that, it looks like the battle is ours. We just have to back away and allow the Ushabti to either melt away or run out the clock. Beautiful. Ooh, very, very close there. Definitely could have gone either way, and almost did, as yeah, we were very much completely out of ammo on every single unit, and most of our units can't fight in melee once out of ammo. Alrighty, there we go. Pyrrhic victory, definitely a very close call. I still can't believe they got to summon Ushabti twice. I never got to summon Ushabti once in my Cetra campaign. They get to do it twice, jerk faces. What can you do? But yeah, really, really close call. It was completely down to the fact that we ran out of ammunition, and then, you know, skink skirmishers, chameleon skinks, pretty darn useless once they're out of ammo, so yeah. I guess we'll take the money. I mean, if another army attacks, the healing won't help, so you just release the captives. Good job, little guys. At least we got one army to not be there, but there's another one, and this is a much better one. They're going to be attacking Shoto, which has better defenses, but at the same time, 6 sepulchral stalkers. Certainly an army after my own heart, but yeah, it's gonna be a toughie. Toughie again. Toughie 2. Go. Alrighty, here we go. I fear that we won't win this, but you know, I figured we wouldn't win the last fight either, and we still managed to pull it off. So we'll give it my best shot. Let's say that. Now, obviously, the enemy has 6 sepulchral stalkers and lots of reinforcements, a sack and a half coming in as well, and it's just a lot of stuff to contend with. But anyway, now we've deployed in primarily, let's say, we've deployed more forces over on this side of the map than necessary to deal with the enemy. The idea is to knock out these guys with overwhelming force so that we can move in and reinforce the other locations. Here, we have only deployed a couple of units to hold the enemy off, and then here, we have deployed a unit of Croxagores as well as our Feral Basti to essentially block the ramp and just basically buy time. It's pretty critical that we don't let the enemy move on in, and I imagine that once the reinforcements arrive, they will go up this ramp as well, so this place needs to definitely be blocked off. The other reason is that we have a tier 4 tower here, which will fire at the enemy. Those are some slow arcing projectiles. I'm interested in seeing how much damage they do. 6.6k on this artillery piece, which we're trying to focus down, and okay, you hit nothing. How did you miss a stationary target? Okay. I don't know how I would manage to miss a stationary target so badly, but what can you do? And towers are supposed to be considerably nastier in SFO than they are in vanilla as well. But anyway, over where we used our biggest portion of biggest concentration of force, it looks like the first of the enemy units of Sepulchral Stalkers, and frankly the second, are just about done for. We even summoned our Ripperdactyls here rather than summoning them somewhere else, where they could have easily taken out one of the Screaming Skull catapults. We've also summoned a Skink Priest avatar, first to block the enemy units of Sepulchral Stalkers, and then to briefly distract the Tomb King, but it looks like he doesn't want any of that and is going after the Skink Chief instead. That's alright though, that works reasonably well in this particular situation as he turns away from the volleys of range fire. And this isn't going to be blocking them off with his shield. Alrighty, a couple more hits off, setting that ghost skink flying. Yeah, anyway, a couple more hits and it looks like the enemy Tomb King is out of the picture. That's one, although we will have to deal with the newly arriving reinforcements. It looks like more enemy units have arrived over on this side. We're going to send the Kroxigors in to at least distract the Tomb Guard for a second, though it looks like they will start immediately taking damage from another unit of Sepulchral Stalkers. Alright, just wanted to try to block the Tomb Guard off so that they would attack the Kroxigors instead of the Skink cohort with javelins, who I was hoping would fire into their backs instead. Unfortunately, this does leave the Sepulchral Stalkers to fire. Now, he could have gone after them with their Ripperdactyls, but Sepulchral Stalkers have anti-large halberds, and it's probably better to try to have the Ripperdactyls knock out the artillery crew instead. Anyway, time to move the Kroxigors against the Stalkers instead. And admittedly, the anti-large halberds will also work against the Kroxigors, but the Kroxigors are considerably more tanky than the Ripperdactyls are. On the bright side, the remnants of those Kroxies are still blocking off or distracting those units of Tomb Guard, which means our Javelin cohort will continue chucking their javelins into those Tomb Guards' backs. There we go, and the enemy is slowed down and fighting the Kroxigors in this swampy little portion of the map. On the bright side, we are moving the other units in to reinforce from where we won here. And we'll be looking to knock out both of the enemy units of Sepulchral Stalkers as fast as we can. Did summon the second Skink Priest avatar here as well, mostly to distract this other unit of Sepulchral Stalkers before they got on field. Our first one is now out. We do have to make sure that we use these guys to actually cast some magic, though, as it's going to be pretty critical to the win. Otherwise, it looks like our Skink skirmishers, which we moved down this ramp, managed to destroy the Screaming Skull catapult, though admittedly it took them an absolute age to do so, and the rest of the enemy army is still being blocked off by a single unit of Kroxigors and Feral Basti. That said, the reinforcements are here, and the bounce power remains very much in the enemy's favor at about perhaps 20% in ours. Something along those lines. And just gotta keep dropping the most critical enemy targets, which means the Sepulchral Stalkers and the Ushabti, which with Great Bow, which are going to be super dangerous, as there is one of those in the reinforcing force. Alright, looks like the third of 6 Sepulchral Stalkers is now out of the picture. And the Tomb Guard have melted, and the fourth of 6 of the Sepulchral Stalkers are critical binding as well. I'm going to move the Pterodon Riders over them and start chucking those javelins into their backs, even as we go for the blow darts and javelins to, well, every other direction. My favorite unit in the Tomb King roster. Sad to see them be brought low, but we use them to great effectiveness in the Cetra campaign. So yeah, Ushabti are moving in at last to reinforce and swinging their Kopesh at the Kroxigors. But now this is the only unit left over on this side of the map, which means we can concentrate fire from every single unit that we have and hopefully bring those Ushabti down quickly. Especially before they dish out further damage to the Kroxigors, which admittedly are already, and both of them, I should say, are already heavily damaged here, down to about 10 to 15% of their HP. Alright, just keep on bringing those Ushabti down. Let them chase, and in fact we'll distract them with our Skink Chief a little bit. They're not going to be able to kill him quickly enough, and hopefully we'll just bring them down before they do. Or do any sufficient damage. Significant damage, that's the one. Alright, there it is, and then the last of the Ushabti falls. The last of the enemy units over on this side of the map have been destroyed. The bounce power is still only about 20%, maybe even 15% in our favor, and the enemy is starting to look like they might soon get through this portion of the ramp. We're gonna slow them down further by dropping a Comet of Cassandora and a Wind Blast on top of them, especially as this mage will be gone in 16 seconds. Gotta get those spells off with the mana that we have. Unfortunately, the enemy has, with that Comet, reached the 3rd Realm of Souls level, and once again is going to be summoning Ushabti. Well, we're just going to have to try to get those skink cohorts and skink skirmishers out, or the Ushabti will absolutely tear them to shreds. Not got much HP left on the Kroxigors, and they're about to book it on out of there by the looks of it. And the Bastillodon will probably hold for a little bit longer, and allowing those towers, or that tower, to do a little bit more damage, but probably for not all that much longer. Over here, I attempted to have the Ripperdactyls tear through the Ushabti with Great Bow, and while they did do decent damage, it's a lot of D's, Slaneshi, but anyway, the skeleton chariots in charging them and the Ushabti with Great Bow looks like we're able to take them out, which is bad for us. Yeah, a few more volleys from those Ushabti with the Great Bow, and it looks like the Kroxigors are out, and they'll probably do the same thing to the Basti, which is unfortunately stuck in the middle of the formation. Just gonna have to do our best to move in the Pterodon Riders and have them knock out the Ushabti with Great Bow, though admittedly they're nearly out of ammunition, and frankly, the rest of our troops are nearly, if not outright, out of ammo as well. And the balance of power has, it seems, dropped even further in the enemy's favor. Or maybe at 10%. Ain't looking so great. But at least our tower is still firing, and we're going to take as much advantage of it as we can by blobbing up on top of the miner supply location and taking advantage of the swampy water here. The aquatic skinks can still fight in there. Take every advantage we can get. Alright, the Pterodon Riders have arrived. Their last javelins being chucked at the Ushabti with Great Bow. The latter, of course, are firing back, but they don't have too much in the way of units. Yeah, it does look like a fair few of those javelins are missing as well. I guess they're garrison units, so they don't have the accuracy buff from veterancy. And every javelin wasted is a concern, because we really need these guys gone. 500 HP, and they are melting at the very least. And it looks like we're out of ammo on one, and will the second one be able to finish it off without the help of the first? Yes, come on, drop the last Ushabti. Okay, now it's out of ammo. And there we go, the last of the Ushabti will drop. Ooh, okay, that admittedly didn't do all that much for our balance of power. We're just gonna have to keep on working on it. The enemy lord is closed as well, and unfortunately for us, he's at full HP. We're gonna have to try to hold him back for at least a little bit with our Skink Chief Durranadar in melee. Oh, the Skink Chief gets knocked back by the shotgun blast from those Spokal Stalkers. We killed off 4 out of 6. Now we're trying to focus them down with what remains of our ammunition as best we can. Time to move the Kroxigors in to block the enemy blobs off. And the more they blob up, the better for us, as the tower is still firing at them. If only we had a little bit more ammunition to take out the Ushabti, the Stalkers, and the catapults here. But what can you do? Now that our units of Pterodon Riders are out of ammunition, we're going to send them down onto the Skeleton Archers below. Granted, Pterodon Riders are absolute garbage in melee, so they probably won't be effective at this. And it looks like here they're losing against Skeleton Archers and Tomb King Chariots in melee. Which is a little bit surprising. I mean, you'd think... I mean, look, the Pterodon is what, like... Just compare the size of a Pterodon to a little human or a little infantryman. It's a much, much bigger creature. You'd think that they'd be still reasonably threatening, but they're just kind of awful in melee. Yeah, looks like they'll do, what, maybe 10-15% damage to Skeleton Archer Chariots and Skeleton Archers, considering they outstats them both by a decently wide margin. But oh well. What can you do? The balance of power is still very much in the enemy's favor, and we're still holding, if just barely so, though individual units continue to run out of ammunition or run out of morale. Our resources are finite, is what I'm getting at. On the bright side, we have been focusing down all the enemy big boys, or medium boys, I guess. The Skeleton Chariots are the last after the Spokal Stalkers and the Ushabti have both been brought down. which will leave the Nehekara warriors, but they are much more susceptible to range fire from the tower than the bigger units are, so it still works. One of our Kroxigors rallied, and we sent them right back in to try to help the Ripperdactyl, I wish it was Ripperdactyls, Pterodon Riders, who similarly get destroyed in attempting to bring down those range units before they can achieve all that much. Over all the way back here, looks like the enemy decided to pull a sneaky one and attempt to capture our main key building with a unit of chariots. Fortunately, one of our Kroxigors and the second unit of Pterodon Riders was able to reach them in time before they captured it. Certainly something we wouldn't want to lose, though, because the Siege Defender buff is a really helpful one. And the leadership at plus 10% alone, or plus 10 rather, alone is very much worth having here. Alright, balance of power remains at about 10% in our favor, but we are very much still in the fight. The enemy have lost all of their elite units, and now we've been forced to send our skink skirmishers, our chameleon skinks, basically every single unit of the skinks that no longer has ammo, into the fight to just block the enemy off. Allow the tower to keep firing. Keep the enemy blobbed up. The only card we have left to play here. Of course, the Nehekara warriors are going to be significantly stronger in melee than our chameleon skinks and skink skirmishers and all that. I think one unit still has ammunition and can still fire away a little bit, and everybody's down to like 10% of their HP. But again, the towers are still firing. Our severely damaged Kroxigors and our Pterodon Riders are moving back to once again go after those skeleton archers. And we're still holding the enemy off. Oh, look at those frickin' HP bars. Alrighty, and the Pterodon Riders have arrived once again, dropping down upon the skeleton archers and doing a little bit more damage now that they don't have the chariots in amongst them, blocking us off. Speaking of the chariots, it looks like they're going to charge forward into our skinks, but that leaves the Kroxigors to crash into the other unit of skeleton archers and pin them between the Kroxigors and the Pterodon Riders. At the very least, I don't imagine either one of these skeleton archer units is going to be able to fire again. Alright, with skeleton archers out, the Nehekara warriors, horsemen, and chariots remaining, of course still led by the enemy lord, who's at 60% of his HP, but I just saw the bounce power climb slightly in our favor to 20% rather than 10. Hey, it's looking brighter than it has over the entire course of the battle, so, you know. Less bright, it looks like yet another unit of skink skirmishers is out, but they might rally again, or maybe they won't with maybe 5% of their HP remaining. Yeah, these 4 units are effectively useless, but we're just going to have to keep on sending everybody back in. Skink Chief is still here plinking away. He's been fighting basically non-stop for nearly 15 minutes, and he's only got 3,000 damage. Yeah. Unlike the Expedition Chiefs, the Skink Chiefs, very much not worthwhile on foot. They just don't do anything. Ooh, nice hit from the tower to the back of that Nehekara horseman. Kroxigors still in the fight, have just barely so, and it looks like the Nehekara horseman will melt away, leaving only the enemy lord. The bounce of power very suddenly shifts fully in our favor, and it looks like we will be able to hold the enemy off. Just barely. So the last of our units are out. The HP is non-existent. The ammo is non-existent. But this place, whatever this settlement is, it manages to hold. And ooh, even though he didn't do all that much, I saw that blow dart hit. It looks like the final blow, the killing blow, is delivered by the Skink Chief. Good job, little fella. Ooh, alrighty, there we go. Pyrrhic victory, certainly. That was probably one of the closest fights I've ever had, like, ever had. we were absolutely down to the dregs. It was anybody's game with the last few moments. If we had routed, I mean, just at the last second there, we very much could have. Such a close fight. Our Pterodon Riders were absolutely instrumental to the victory. Their kill count is low, but their damage count is high, as they were dealing with Ushabti and Spulchral Stalkers. Our summoned Riperdactyls were instrumental in destroying the Screaming Skull catapults, and admittedly, the Skinks once again ran out of ammunition, which was unfortunate. I do feel like you should have more ammunition available to you when you're on the defense, you know? Like, if you're in your own settlement, you should have significantly increased ammunition reserves, because Skink Skirmishers are a garbage unit, and, well, not the non-blessed variant at any rate, and if they run out of ammunition, well, all you could do is use them as body blockers, which admittedly we did here, but good lord, that was damn close, and it was a damn fine fight. I'd love to take the money, but, well, actually, again, we're so damaged that if an enemy comes around, we won't be able to deal with it anyway, so might as well just take the cash. And okay, they're done there. My lord, I'm quite surprised and impressed that we managed to hold him off there. And oh, would you look at that? The Use Cool Mining Company wants peace now. I assume that Vikram Redbeard is going to be able to take out this thing. We could just let them fight amongst themselves. We got bigger fish to fry, I think. This faction's pretty much destroyed. Let them give us, we'll take the money. We have this entire territory, or we will as soon as we take City of Spires from the elves, so yeah, why not? Peace out with them. As odd as it may seem to be piecing out with chaos, but anyway. What do we have here? So, Conquata Convoy. Oh, another trait? Yes, please. So, on top of the hunger... let me get the hunger again. Too bad we can't get double hunger. Barrier hit points is decent. Stock for a devastating flanker. That's quite nice. Immunity to psychology is actually pretty valuable here, at least because of the... because of the skinks. Buy Our Blood is nice. Self-ally unbreakable. Physical resistance and stuff. I got 30 seconds. Though admittedly, the main issue with this is it only comes into effect if you're basically dead. Unless it's changed. Affected units, leadership is wavering or lower, right? Plus immunity to psychology. It's pretty nice, though then again, the barrier will be really nice with the hunger. Even being a small barrier, it'll be really nice with the hunger. Allowing us to move into melee. I'm tempted to say we take the barrier. Buy Your Blood. Yeah, I'll take the barrier. Alrighty, and... Old One's favor generated +1 per turn. A brutal business, and... Convoy's still not over. Alright, so I think next turn will be the end of that. But unfortunately, I think we're going to have to find that out probably next episode. We had a pretty epic defense against the Tomb Kings here. They're not willing to peace out yet, and we are going to have to use our forces to take their territory. Admittedly, Izozyma's going to go for that Skull Island, but I think he's got, well, similarly bigger fish to fry, especially while Tehenowin is recruiting. And we're going to have to use Izozyma, eh? Alright. I wonder if we can use Digga as bait. Well, we'll have to figure that out next time, I'd wager, because, yeah, I'm gonna call it here next time. We take these territories rather quickly, I imagine. Maybe we just leave them alone and let them live in Thrice-Cursed Peak. I assume they won't be super happy once we take the rest of their territories, but yeah, they should have witnessed what happened to everybody else that declared war on us at once, and shouldn't have indirectly declared war on us by attacking the Citadel of Dusk. Otherwise, maybe we'll actually get into a fight with these guys at last, which is a distinct possibility. We'll see if they actually dare to attack us. Tiktaq'to is probably going to go after the elves and take the City of Spires, obviously after the Skull Reef here for more cash. And similarly, I'm perfectly happy leaving the... It'd be nice if this was a giant Skull Island, but anyway, perfectly willing to let them live in the mountains since it's a yellow territory for us, but we'll see how they feel about it after us attacking them. And ooh, while I would like to attack Kugath, We may want to, I was about to say, we may want to allow him to wipe out the caravan of blue roses, and frankly, by the looks of it, he's pretty much done so. We might need to have an army defending the city of Spires while we take on this place. But anyway, looks like the campaign continues with plenty more fun to be had, so stay tuned for more Tic-Tac. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below, as they will determine the length of the campaign. Let's also upgrade Itza. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.